in your vendor outreach event. Again, my name is John Kelly. I'm with the U.S. Small Business Administration with the Office of National Ombudsman. That may be a new word for a lot of people on the call today, the word ombudsman. It was actually new to me when I applied for the job about 7 years ago. Again, I worked with the SBA now for over 14 years. And those first 8 years being at the Washington Metropolitan Area District Office was actually housed in the same building as headquarters as the Office of National Ombudsman. And I never knew we had an Office of National Ombudsman, didn't even know what it was until I saw the job announcement and I read the description. That's how I found out about it. And I worked for the SBA for 8 years. So the Ombudsman's office, we are a very kept secret. So part of my job is to help promote the office, provide some outreach so that those small business owners are aware of who we are, what we do, and how we can help them with their business, with their small business. So most small business owners are familiar with the SBA, the Small Business Administration. We're known for our government guaranteed loans, disaster assistance, government contracting programs, and also assisting those that want to start or grow their business. So that's how most of us know us. But the one office they never heard of is the Office of National Ombudsman. So here's who we are and what we do. So our office was formed by Congress back in 1996 with the signing of the SBREFA Act of 1996, which is the Small Business Regulatory Enforcement Fairness Act. So that's what runs or governs our office here at the SBA. So what does that mean? What do we do? And most importantly, how can we help the small businesses? Again, we are a free, valuable resource to all small business owners. Again, we're part of the federal taxpaying dollars. Our services are free, even if you file a comment with our office. Again, it is all free of charge for the small businesses. One of the reasons why our office was created is most small businesses don't have the resources to say fight the federal government when they have an issue. So there's a federal regulation that's somehow hurting them or they received a penalty. They don't have the resources to say fight the federal government. They don't have the money, the accountants, the attorneys, the compliance officers, everything that's needed to say fight the federal government, they may not have. So when they have an issue, a lot of them just kind of give up. They don't do anything about it because they don't believe they can fight the federal government. So they just, again, give up or just don't do anything. So that's just one of the reasons why our office was created. So what do we do? How can we help you? And what type of issues can you bring to our office? Well, the biggest issue, of course, is if there's a federal regulation that is somehow negatively impacting your small business. And here's the good part. It is any federal regulation, any federal agency, not just the SBA. So again, if you have an issue with the VA, if you have an issue with OSHA, IRS, Department of Labor, EPA, OSHA, it doesn't matter. Our jurisdiction is a federal government agency regulation. Unfortunately, we'll have any jurisdiction when it comes to state matters or local governments. We don't have any jurisdiction when it comes to those issues or regulations, just federal. So again, if you believe that this federal regulation is somehow hurting your small business, you can bring it to our attention for us to try to help resolve. Or maybe you received an unfair enforcement action. For example, maybe you're in a construction company and OSHA came out and fined you, $25,000 for some type of violation that they said you did. So you could come to our office. Maybe you might disagree with the violation that you didn't committed. So we would fight that on your behalf and try to help get the amount waived. However, if you did violate and you are subject to a penalty, we could then ask the agency to look at it from a small business perspective and have the amount be more reasonable. You know, a $25,000 penalty or fine to a big company is no big deal, but $25,000 fine to a small business can actually put that small business out of business. So we can try to help get those the penalties or fines waived or reduced. If you feel like you've been targeted by a federal agency, maybe you're receiving repetitive audits, investigations, penalties, threats, or fear of retaliation. Any of those types of issues are issues that you can bring to our office, and we'll try to help resolve those issues on your behalf. So again, we get a good variety of everything you can possibly think of when it comes to issues with other federal agencies. Again, it's all federal agencies. So how does the process work? How do you get in contact with the Ombudsman's office? So if you feel, again, that you're experiencing any of those issues that I just mentioned, we make it a very easy process to contact our office and to file that official or that formal comment against that agency, okay? So the first thing we ask or need from the small business owner is to simply go to our website, and I'll provide that at the very end on the final slide, is go to the SBA's website. You're going to go to the Ombudsman. We're going to click on File Comment. And here's where I don't want you to get scared. A lot of people, when they hear the word, oh, go fill out some paperwork for the government, that it's going to be 6 hours worth of actual paperwork, okay? That is not the case here. When you go to our webpage and you click on File Comment, it is a one-pager. That's it. It's a one-page comment form, and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to complete this one-page form. We're just getting basic information from you as far as your business, the federal agency involved that you're having the issue with. We're going to ask you to provide a brief description of what is the issue. And then, most importantly is we're going to ask you or want you to include, what is your ask? So by filing this formal comment, this formal complaint in this official federal record, what are you looking to get out of it? Okay, so what is the ask? For example, if you were penalized or fined, your ask may be to get it reduced or possibly waived. So please, again, these cases can get very, very complex. Please, at the end, just, what are you looking for? What's the ask? Now, a lot of times we get comments into our office where the commentor or the small business owner doesn't have an ask. They simply want to be on official government record that they're having an issue with this federal agency, with this federal regulation, and here's how it's hurting my business. They want to be on record with that issue that they're having. Now, what we do with that is, if we get the same type of comment for the same type of regulation, usually about 2 to 3 times per year, and we see it happen that often, at that point, it's going to raise a red flag, and we're going to start to dig a little deeper as far as, why did this past year did we get 3 comments filed with the same issue, with the same regulation? Let's look into it further. Okay, so again, even if you're not looking for something out of it and you just want to be heard and be on record, would be another reason why you would actually file that comment. So again, doing it online is the quickest and easiest way. I think last year, 99% of all of our cases filed was via the online site. If not, you can always print off a copy of the form. You can handwrite it, you can fax it to us, you can email it to us, or of course you can just send it by mail. So there's several ways to do it, but the online comment version is the most common, of course, and it is the fastest. Now, once we receive it, what do we do with it? Here's the good news is, once you submit an actual comment, you're going to be assigned to an actual person. Okay, it's not going to go into this big black hole. You're actually going to be assigned to a case management specialist, and they're now going to work with you on helping you get the issue resolved with the federal agency. Okay, So you'll have an actual contact, an actual person to do this for you. That process, once you submit it, usually it's assigned within just a matter of just say 2 to 3 days. That's it. So the case management specialist has it. They're going to review it. They may reach out to you to get some clarification, or a lot of times what they may ask you for is some additional documentation. So if there's any documentation that you think of that will help assist them and help resolving your case, is to please include any supporting documentation. For example, if you got penalized or fined, we would want a copy of that penalty, whatever paperwork that they sent you. Or a lot of times we have small business owners send us the email chains that kind of summarize all the issues up for us. So again, including that could be very helpful. So everything goes through the case management specialist. Now what they do is they're going to generate a letter, an official letter that is going to be signed by the National Ombudsman here in the Office of National Ombudsman. It is our top senior person. They are going to send the signed letter, which kind of outlines and summarizes the issues that you're having, and they're going to submit it to that agency in question. Typically, it's sent to somebody either in their small business program office or maybe their regulatory, if they have an office dealing with regulations, it would go to that office. So it's either going usually to one or the other. And it's going to a high-ranking member of that office, okay? According to the SBRIFA, it must be reviewed by a high-ranking person. They just can't pass it off to anybody to have them respond back. It must be somebody with SBRIFA responsibilities and authority. Now, here's the good part. How long do they have to respond? Is it going to sit there for 6 months or a year? No, okay? According to the SBRIFA Act, once we submit the signed letter by our National Ombudsman to their office, that agency now has 30 business days to respond back to us, outlining their response, okay? Also, according to this SBRIFA Act, it must be a very detailed, quality, informative response. It just can't be, sorry, we don't agree with what the commenter said. It has to be a detailed response showing us that they actually did do some background investigation. They put some time into responding back to the issue that you're having. Okay, so it must be a quality response. On the next slide, I'm going to show you where we actually talk about how are we going to ensure that they do this. Okay, so in the next slide, I'll talk about our annual report to Congress, where we're actually holding the agencies accountable, okay? So once we get the response back from that agency, we'll then review it. The National Ombudsman reviews it. And at that point, we will share it with the actual small business that made the actual comments, okay? So we do share it with you, and you'll be able to read what it is that the agency side or their response, okay? The majority of the time, that's when the issue has been resolved and the case is closed. At that point, that the small business owner is pleased or at least satisfied with the response, and the case has been closed. Now, there are some times though when, of course, the small business owner is not happy with it. They weren't happy with the outcome or with the response back from the agency. So we can always go back asking for a higher level review. Now, when we do that, we need to provide more information than we provided the first time. So a couple of things. One is there might be some, in the letter that they provided, could be some information that is not accurate, or maybe they failed to respond to certain things in your initial letter. That can be brought up. Another thing that is important is maybe you receive some additional documentation that can support your case that you didn't have during the first time. So if that's the case, send that to us, and that might increases the chances that, hey, now we're going for a second review, a higher level review, that maybe it will be resolved to your favor. Okay, so again, we can go back and ask for a second review if you didn't like the results from the first time. Here's that annual report to Congress that I just mentioned, is holding the agencies accountable. So the Office of National Ombudsman, again, we're required by Congress to submit to Congress each year an annual report to Congress is what we call it, okay? So what it is a summary of the year's activities in the Ombudsman's office. It's a snapshot of all the cases that we received throughout the year, the quantifiable results and the impact that it made on the actual small business. What type of issues are we receiving from the small businesses? Where are most of our comments coming from, as far as like what states, what regions are they actually coming from? And we also do a summary of all the different activities that we did throughout the year, as far as outreach, as far as how are we connecting with the small business owners. So we do have roundtables throughout the year. Every year we can get out there and we visit the different districts, and we have roundtables where small businesses can come in, explain to the National Ombudsman what regulations are impacting their business. So we do try to do a tremendous amount of outreach to help spread that awareness as far as who we are. But one thing I want to point out that's also in there that most people go to is the ratings for the agencies. So here's where I mentioned on the other slides how we hold the federal agencies accountable is we actually grade them each year. So for example, one of the things that we grade on, the very first one is timeliness. And the grading system is very, very basic, very simple, back to when you were in grade school. A, B, C, D, and E. So if the agency responded back within that 30-day period, they get an A. If they went to 31 days, they now get a B. 61 days, they now get a C, so on and so on. So they are held to that timeliness as far as how quickly did they respond back. The second thing that we grade them on is, that I just mentioned, is the quality of the response. Did the agency take the time to really investigate the issue and address all the different points that the small business owner had? Okay, was it a quality response, and was it by that high-ranking member of that office? The other few things that we grade them are on, do they have non-retaliation policies posted? Also, do they offer compliance assistance? And do they notify their small businesses in regards to the SBRIFA? So again, these are typically found on the agency's website that you would find those things. So they're graded in those 5 different areas. And then that annual report is sent to members of Congress. It's sent to the heads of all the different federal agencies, actually receive a copy of this, and of course, many other stakeholders. Now, you can bet, here's what I've seen since I've been with this office so far. If an agency didn't do well and they received a C, a D, or maybe even an E in one of those categories, and the head of that agency is reviewing this report that was submitted to Congress, you can bet by the following year, things change. No head of an agency wants to see their agency is failing in responding to the needs of small businesses, the small business vendors that help them. Okay, so again, that's where we kind of hold them accountable for, is that annual report to Congress. This report, of course, is available to the public. So if you visit our website, which I'll have at the last slide, at the SBA.gov, you'll see our past, I think we have the last 7 years worth of the annual reports to Congress posted on the website. So please, when you have a time, you want some good reading, please visit the read one of the annual reports to Congress. That's going to lead us into our regional regulatory fairness boards. This actually could be an opportunity for a lot of those that are on the call. Is within the Ombudsman's office, again, we have our full-time federal staff of employees, but we also have a volunteer regional regulatory fairness boards throughout the U.S. This is a board comprised of 50 small business owners. That's the very first requirement, is you must be an owner of a small business concern in order to volunteer to serve on the board. So the SBA is broken down into 10 regions. Within those 10 regions, we have 5 regulatory fairness boards serving each of those regions. So when you have a full board, of course, you're now at a 50 person capacity with the 10 regions, 5 members per region. To ensure, we do have there is a regulation regarding to ensure proper balance, that within each of those boards for each region, you can have no more than 3 from the same political party. Again, for that fairness. And again, you must be a small business owner. It's a term they serve for 3 years, and they're actually appointed by the administrator of the SBA. And what we're asking, and we meet with them usually on a quarterly basis. They're going to be coming here in September for their annual board meeting. So here's where we meet with these volunteer board members that are serving. And basically, they're the eyes and ears of everything federal regulatory in their region. Okay, so we want them out there talking to the other small businesses, listening to them, hearing what they have to say about what are the issues that are impacting their business, and then to report those issues back to the Ombudsman's office. Again, just be those eyes and ears. The second thing that we ask from the board members is to help promote it. Help promote who is the Office of National Ombudsman and how can they be of value to other small businesses in your area. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, most small businesses have never heard of the Ombudsman's office. Excuse me. So we do ask our board members to help promote. So currently, we have 39 board members that are currently serving, and we have another 11 that are already somewhere in the vetting process. So hopefully soon we're going to be at the full capacity of actually 50. However, I mentioned this is a 3-year term. There's constantly board members dropping off and new board members coming on, okay, because it's a 3-year term. If you like, some of our board members have actually asked to extend their 3-year term for another, and it has been granted. So keep that in mind. But again, it's a constant rotation as far as board members coming in and board members dropping off. So if anybody on the call here would be interested in applying to serve on the board, you can reach out to me directly, and I can email you the application for that. So again, it's a good way to volunteer and to kind of give back to your area, your region, and help bring those issues back to us. On the last slide, I would like to include this is a lot of small businesses kind of get confused. What is the difference between the Office of Advocacy and the Office of National Ombudsman? Okay, they're both here within the SBA, but what is the difference? And when should I talk to one office versus talking to another office? Well, the biggest difference is the Office of Advocacy is you deal with them pre-regulation. So if there is talks about a regulation being proposed or maybe regulations being changed, again, it's in the pre-regulation process. It has not been made rule yet, and you're concerned that rule could affect you. You would reach out to the Office of Advocacy and help voice your concerns on how that regulation that they're proposing or the change they're proposing could hurt you. So you would reach out to them. The other biggest difference is instead of having a volunteer of regulatory fairness board members, they have actual appointed regional advocates in the different SBA regions, and their job is to help again find out what those issues are that are affecting small businesses pre-regulation. Now, the SBA's Office of National Ombudsman, the office I sit in, is post-regulation. So once it becomes rule, and it's now a full-blown regulation, and now you're having an issue with it, you would want to contact the Ombudsman's office. So we're everything post-regulation. So that's the biggest differences between our offices. And the last slide is our contact slide that I mentioned to you. Again, the very first one there is if you need or if you know somebody that would like to file a comment or complaint with our office, you just go to the sba.gov/ombudsman. Takes you right to the ombudsman's page. You'll see a red tab, a red box that says file comment. Click that, and that's where you fill out that form that I mentioned. And again, it will take you 15 to 20 minutes. If you need to call somebody, maybe you want to talk about it first, there's our toll-free number, of course, our email, and then our address if you like to mail us the actual comment. And right there in the middle, you have my email address. If you have any questions for me, or if you would like to possibly serve on the board and apply once a seat does open up in your region, you can email me directly and I'll be happy to provide that to you. That's going to end the presentation, and we have some time, we'll go ahead and open it up for some question and answers. Curtis, if you want to have any questions.
Yeah, I got a few, John. Thank you. Awesome. That was good information. Much appreciated. First question is kind of long. How effective are you at helping address hostile work environments, with the aggressor being a government employee? While rare, we have more than one example where we have our employees embedded with a federal facility staff getting screamed at, door slammed in face, snuck up on, spying to try to catch up to them, somehow not doing their jobs, general disrespect. But both of these government employees have left after investigations or been reassigned, but the damage was done, and we had our employees quit.
Okay, based on that, the light went out. On that description, it doesn't sound like that falls within the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman's office. So it didn't sound like that there was a federal regulation involved, that a small business owner was being hurt by a federal regulation. At least I didn't hear that part as far as the issue, just it's a hostile work environment. So my recommendation there, of course, is to reach out to the to HR for whatever agency has employees in there. Is to reach out to their HR is the first place to actually start. But again, it doesn't sound like that's an ombudsman's issue because there's not a federal regulation for a small business.
Got you. Thank you. Next question. When is it recommended you engage in the ombudsman? Is billing payment part of your services?
Oh, great question. So if you mean by billing payment, if what you mean is that your small business did work on a federal government contract, and for some reason the government agency has not paid you. So if that's the question, I understand it. The answer is yes. So again, if you have done work per your contract with that federal agency, and again, we get 100 different reasons why you haven't gotten paid, the answer is yes. So please file a comment with our office, and we will get involved with helping you get paid for the work that you did for that contract.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Next question. Is the company owner the only person who can contact a rep, or can a company rep contact them on behalf of the company?
Yeah, somebody else can contact on behalf of the owner, yes. So it does not have to be the actual owner of the business. A lot of times we might get the calls or comments filed by their, vice president or somebody like that. So yes, it could be anybody else that the small business owner designates to file the comment. It does not have to be the actual owner themselves.
Got you. Thank you. And a question came across the chat. It was directed to me, but I'm assuming they wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Hi, Curtis. I went to the Ombudsman annual report page, and it looks like the last report was uploaded in 2021. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct for about the next month. And then so right now in final clearances will be fiscal year 22. So that should be uploaded to the website probably in the next 30 days. The reason why there's such a big delay in uploading or having the annual report uploaded to the site is each year we're a year behind. Okay, as far as the amount of data that we have to collect doesn't just come from internal SBA. The majority of the data that we have to collect to include in the annual report to Congress is from many other federal agencies and other external stakeholders. So it's a big waiting game and collection game on getting that information that we are required to have to be able to put the annual report together. It just unfortunately takes longer than what it needs to.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Next question. Does the Ombudsman Office provide assistance regarding specific contract matters if attempts to resolve have been unsuccessful? So if
Absolutely.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
If we have tried to get assistance from the agency, small business office, contracting officer, etc.
Absolutely. That's one of the, I'd say, more common things that we do get involved with. So that does fall within us. So if you're working on a government, again, it has to be federal, a federal government contract, you try to work out the issues with the agency. You got in contact with the Small Business Program Office. Nothing's working. You still got all these contract issues. Yes, please do come to the Ombudsman's office.
Awesome. Thank you. Look like that's all the questions we have.
Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for attending today's event. Hopefully you learned of a new valuable resource that you were unaware of before. So please, if you have any current issues you're facing, reach out to our office. Or of course, you may know of other small business owners that are facing similar issues. Please pass along the information and have them contact us as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. One more question. Just popped in. Somebody said, I believe you provided some valuable advice on finding a sponsor for the FedRAMP readiness program and certification. However, I didn't quite catch all the details.
Which program was that?
There's some FedRAMP readiness program and certification.
I'm not familiar with that. I would need a little bit more detail on that.
Yeah, that might have been at another training.
Yeah.
Okay. Please send us an email. Whoever provided that question, and we'll get back to you at the stratcom@va.gov email. We'll answer your question. But thank you for this wonderful webinar, John. We really appreciate it. Hope everybody took some out of this, and it's been very informative. At the end, please complete the survey. We value your feedback. Let us know how we have done today, and we appreciate your attendance and time, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time at the next event. So thank you, John, once again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
All right now, bye-bye.